Hey there, cruise lovers! In today's video, we're diving deep into the surprising world of cruise ship boarding denials. You might be shocked to learn these happen far more frequently than most travelers realize, leaving thousands of excited vacationers disappointed each year at major cruise lines. Welcome to our Cruise Insider channel, where we share the secrets the industry doesn't always want you to know. Today, we're exploring 15 critical reasons people get turned away at the gangway, plus giving you exclusive tips to ensure your cruise adventure begins without a hitch. First up, let's talk about overbooking, a practice that's more common than you might think. Just like airlines, cruise lines frequently book more passengers than they actually have space for, expecting a certain percentage of cancellations. But what happens when everyone shows up ready to sail? Unlike airlines that typically offer compensation and alternative flights, cruise companies often provide minimal assistance if you're bumped. Our industry contacts have revealed that popular routes can be overbooked by up to 7%. That's potentially hundreds of passengers who might face heartbreaking issues on each sailing. Imagine arriving at the port, luggage in hand, only to discover there's literally no room for you on board. One family we interviewed had saved for 3 years for their dream Caribbean cruise, only to be turned away because of overbooking. The cruise line offered a future sailing credit, but couldn't compensate for the lost vacation time or additional expenses they'd already incurred. Second, those third-party bookings might be riskier than you realize. If you book through a discount website instead of directly with the cruise line, you could find yourself in a vulnerable position. When difficult decisions need to be made about who stays and who goes, cruise lines tend to prioritize their direct bookings and trusted partner agencies. We've heard numerous stories of passengers with third-party bookings being the first to face issues during overbooking situations or when ships need to reduce capacity. One particularly troubling trend we've noticed is that some discount booking sites don't always relay important information about documentation requirements or policy changes, leaving passengers unprepared. For the best protection, consider booking directly or through well-established travel agencies with strong cruise line relationships. The small premium you might pay could save you from a vacation disaster. Third, your cabin choice matters more than you'd ever imagine. Passengers in more budget-friendly inside cabins are statistically the first to face challenges if difficult decisions need to be made. It's a well-guarded industry secret that guests in luxury suites or premium staterooms rarely, if ever, face these issues. Our research indicates that approximately 85% of affected passengers were staying in the most affordable cabin category. If you're concerned about potential boarding issues, even upgrading just one category might significantly boost your chances of smooth sailing. We spoke with one former cruise line employee who confirmed that when ships need to reduce capacity, they look first at the least profitable bookings, which almost always means the most affordable cabin. One fascinating strategy some experienced cruisers use is to book an inside cabin but bid for an upgrade. This can sometimes give you both the affordability of a lower tier cabin with the added security of a higher cabin category if your bid is accepted. Fourth, even being a loyal cruiser doesn't always protect you anymore. A troubling trend we've seen developing over the past few years, even valued loyalty program members might face boarding issues if their booking isn't considered profitable enough for the ship. Cruise lines have sophisticated algorithms that analyze your past spending habits, and if you don't typically purchase extras like shore excursions, drink packages, specialty dining, or casino gaming, you might face higher risk despite your loyalty status. This practice has become increasingly common since the pandemic as cruise lines focus intensely on maximizing revenue from each passenger. We've heard from several longtime cruisers with impressive loyalty status who were shocked to face boarding issues while newer guests sailed without problems. One loyal cruiser with over 30 cruises on a single line was denied boarding, while first-time cruisers in the same cabin category were welcomed aboard. The difference? The new cruisers had pre-purchased several expensive excursions and dining packages. Fifth, passport problems can derail your vacation dreams in ways you might not expect. Issues like expiration dates too close to your travel dates, validity periods, seemingly minor damage, or insufficient empty pages. Many destinations require your passport to be valid for at least 6 months after your trip ends, a requirement that catches many travelers off guard. Even small imperfections like watermarks, tiny tears, or excessive wear can cause serious problems at embarkation. We've seen heartbreaking situations where families were denied boarding due to a barely noticeable passport damage that was deemed significant by boarding agents. It's best to travel with a passport in pristine condition that's valid for at least a year from when you leave. One particularly devastating case involved a family whose child's passport had a small tear on an internal page, not near any crucial information, but they were still denied boarding on their $15,000 European cruise. The moral of the story, treat your passport like the golden ticket it truly is. 6th, missing or incorrect visas create nightmares for countless cruisers each year. You'll need the proper documentation for every single country on your cruise itinerary, not just your embarkation port. Many travelers mistakenly believe they don't need visas for ports where they don't plan to disembark, but this is a dangerous misconception. Even if you're planning to stay on the ship at certain ports, maritime law often requires proper documentation for every passenger for every country on the itinerary. Some cruise lines offer visa checking services, but these aren't foolproof, and ultimately ensuring everything's in order remains your responsibility. We spoke with one couple who missed their entire Asian cruise because they misunderstood the visa requirements for a port they weren't even planning to visit. They had meticulously researched requirements for ports where they planned to disembark, but overlooked a country where the ship would dock briefly for refueling. This costly oversight resulted in a complete vacation loss, as the cruise line's terms and conditions clearly stated that proper documentation was the passenger's responsibility. 7th, required vaccinations are another critical consideration that too many cruisers overlook until it's too late. Destinations throughout the Caribbean, South America, and parts of Asia often require proof of specific vaccinations, with yellow fever being particularly common. These requirements can change with little notice, and contrary to popular belief, cruise lines don't always proactively inform passengers about every vaccination requirement. It's essential to check the CDC and World Health Organization websites for the most current vaccination requirements for each port on your itinerary. One family we interviewed had their cruise plans shattered when they arrived at the terminal without proof of yellow fever vaccination for a South American itinerary. The same thing, despite having all other documentation in perfect order, they were denied boarding because they couldn't provide the required vaccination certificates. Checked even more frustrating, they had visited their doctor before traveling but weren't advised about the specific requirement because their physician wasn't familiar with cruise-specific health regulations. This highlights the importance of consulting with travel medicine specialists rather than general practitioners when preparing for international cruises. 8th, health screenings have become increasingly stringent in the post-pandemic world. Not passing pre-boarding health checks or showing signs of illness can quickly result in boarding denials. Since the pandemic, cruise lines have implemented comprehensive health protocols that are enforced with zero tolerance. Shaping same thing, even seemingly minor symptoms like a persistent cough, slightly elevated temperature, or visible respiratory distress might lead to additional screening or outright boarding denial. We've documented numerous cases of passengers being turned away due to slight fevers that turned out to be nothing serious, but the cruise line simply won't take chances with potential health risks that could affect hundreds or thousands of other guests. It's always best to be completely honest about how you're feeling. Attempting to hide symptoms could not only result in boarding denial, but could potentially get you blacklisted from future sailings with that cruise line or its partners. One particularly unfortunate case involved a passenger with allergies whose symptoms were misinterpreted as illness, resulting in a boarding denial despite medical documentation explaining his condition. The lesson: bring detailed medical documentation for any condition that might be misinterpreted as a contagious illness. 9th, pregnancy guidelines are strictly enforced across the industry, with no exceptions made regardless of circumstances. Being beyond the permitted stage of pregnancy, usually 24 weeks, means you absolutely will not be allowed to sail. This rule is rigorously followed for safety reasons, as ships have limited medical facilities that aren't equipped to handle pregnancy complications or premature births. If you're visibly pregnant, you'll need a doctor's note clearly stating your due date and confirming you're fit to travel. Some luxury and expedition cruise lines are even more cautious, setting the limit at 20 weeks for certain journeys with limited port access or those that travel through remote regions. We spoke with one woman who was denied boarding at 23 weeks and 5 days pregnant, just 2 days shy of the 24-week cutoff because the cruise line counts completed weeks rather than days. Despite having her doctor's approval and documentation, the cruise line's policy was inflexible. Pregnancy timing should be calculated very conservatively when planning a cruise, with ample buffer built in for any potential miscalculations or disputes about exact dating. 10th, missing check-in deadlines can lead to devastating vacation losses, even when the ship is still physically present at the port. Arriving after the cutoff time means you might be watching your dream vacation sail away while standing helplessly on the dock. These deadlines are enforced with military precision and typically range from 60 to 90 minutes before the published departure time, regardless of whether the ship is actually ready to depart. We recommend planning to arrive at the terminal at least 4 hours before sailing time to allow for unexpected delays like traffic jams, transportation issues, or processing backups. Just remember that check-in closing times are entirely different from final boarding times. Once check-in closes, no exceptions are made, even if the ship remains docked for hours afterward. One family we interviewed missed their check-in by just 7 minutes due to a traffic accident that blocked the highway to the port. Despite the ship remaining docked for another 3 hours, they were denied boarding because the passenger manifest had already been finalized and submitted to authorities. Their $12,000 family vacation was lost, with no refund or credit offered since they had missed the check-in deadline specified in their cruise contract. 11th, unpaid balances or financial issues can create embarkation nightmares you never saw coming. Outstanding fares, credit card problems, or disputed charges from previous cruises can prevent you from boarding without warning. Cruise lines have become increasingly strict about financial matters, implementing sophisticated systems that flag accounts with any payment irregularities. Even small disputed charges from previous sailings can lock your account and trigger boarding denials. We suggest clearing all balances at least 2 weeks before sailing and bringing multiple forms of payment plus printed proof of all transactions to the terminal. One particularly shocking case involved a passenger who was denied boarding due to a $18.95 disputed charge from a previous cruise 3 years earlier. The passenger had no idea this dispute was still open in the system, but it triggered an automatic hold that prevented check-in until the matter was resolved. By the time the situation was clarified, the check-in deadline had passed and boarding was denied. This cautionary tale demonstrates why it's crucial to resolve even minor billing disputes completely before booking your next cruise with the same line. 12 prohibited items can cause serious problems that many passengers don't anticipate until it's too late. Bringing things that aren't allowed, like certain surge protectors, unauthorized alcohol, cannabis products, even in states or countries where they're legal, or certain electronics, can result in significant boarding complications. The list of prohibited items continues to expand, with recent additions including certain types of power banks, specific e-cigarette models, and even some seemingly innocent items like certain types of food. Many travelers don't realize that even legal items like CBD products, medical marijuana, or hemp-derived items are strictly prohibited on cruise ships because of international maritime laws and the complex legal jurisdictions ships navigate. We documented one case where a passenger's medical marijuana card and physician's recommendation letter didn't prevent them from being denied boarding when they admitted to bringing cannabis products on board. Another traveler faced boarding issues when security discovered homemade food items that violated agricultural import restrictions for upcoming ports. The lesson? Thoroughly research prohibited items lists and err on the side of caution when deciding what to pack. 13th, your behavior during the check-in process matters more than you might realize. Being intoxicated, confrontational, or disruptive during embarkation or having a documented history of problematic behavior can quickly get you added to a cruise line's no-sail list. What many passengers don't realize is that major cruise lines now share information about passenger behavior through industry databases, meaning an incident on one line could potentially affect your ability to sail with entirely different cruise companies. The friendly staff at the terminal have significant authority and discretion when it comes to making boarding decisions based on observed behavior during check-in. We've documented numerous cases where passengers who appeared intoxicated or became argumentative with check-in staff were denied boarding on the spot. One particularly notable incident involved a passenger who became verbally abusive to terminal staff over a cabin assignment issue. Not only was he denied boarding, but he later discovered he had been flagged in a shared system that affected his ability to book with other major cruise lines. The cruise industry takes passenger behavior very seriously, as problem guests can impact the vacation experience for hundreds or thousands of others. 14th, security concerns trigger immediate and often non-negotiable boarding denials. Being on no-sail lists, watch lists, or having unresolved legal issues will immediately flag your boarding pass for review and potential denial. Cruise lines conduct increasingly sophisticated background checks before boarding, and any red flags in your history might result in boarding denial with minimal explanation due to security protocols. This includes both criminal history and previous policy violations on any cruise line. These security screenings have become remarkably thorough, with some premium lines now implementing facial recognition technology and advanced database checking. We spoke with one passenger who was denied boarding due to a case of mistaken identity. He shared a name similar to someone on a security watch list. Despite having sailed many times before, he faced significant challenges proving he wasn't the person person of interest. Another traveler was shocked to be denied boarding due to a minor incident on a different cruise line 5 years earlier that he believed had been resolved. The interconnected nature of cruise line security systems means that past issues can follow you across different companies and reappear unexpectedly years later. Finally, dress code guidelines can actually prevent your boarding, particularly on luxury cruise lines. Not meeting embarkation day attire expectations might seem like a minor issue, but several premium cruise lines have begun enforcing appropriate attire policies even at the terminal stage. Clothing with offensive language, excessively revealing outfits, or extremely casual wear like swimsuits, sleeveless shirts for men, or flip-flops might result in being asked to change or face boarding complications. While mainstream cruise lines tend to be more relaxed about embarkation attire, luxury lines like Cunard, Silversea, and Seabourn have been known to enforce dress standards from the moment you enter the terminal. One passenger shared their experience of being asked to purchase and change into more appropriate attire at the port before being allowed to complete the check-in process on a luxury sailing. While they were ultimately permitted to board after changing, the delay caused significant stress and embarrassment. The lesson: research your specific cruise line's dress code expectations thoroughly, even for the embarkation process, and when in doubt, dress more formally rather than too casually. These 15 reasons cover the most common causes of boarding challenges, but there could be numerous others depending on your specific circumstances, itinerary, and cruise line policies. Cruise companies reserve broad rights to make boarding decisions for various reasons they consider appropriate under their passenger contracts. Contracts that few travelers read in detail, but that give the lines extensive authority to deny boarding with limited recourse for passengers. To help ensure your cruise experience starts without issues, we strongly recommend booking directly with the cruise line or through a reputable travel agent specializing in cruises. Arriving at the terminal with plenty of time to spare, at least 3 to 4 hours before sailing, meticulously double-checking all required documentation well in advance of your sailing date, and thoroughly familiarizing yourself with all cruise line policies before your departure date. It's also wise to purchase comprehensive travel insurance that specifically covers cruise-related issues, including boarding denials for covered reasons. The small investment in proper insurance could save you from a devastating financial loss if boarding problems do occur. Have you or someone you know ever encountered any of these situations? I'd absolutely love to hear about your experiences in the comments section below. Every cruiser story helps others learn and prepare better for their own voyages. And if you found these insider tips helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exclusive cruise insights, little-known industry secrets, and expert knowledge that can help you navigate the sometimes complicated world of cruising with confidence. Curious about what items are actually banned on cruise ships that many passengers try to bring anyway? Check out our detailed YouTube video, Stop Doing This, a steward's top 15 annoying cruise habits, where we reveal even more insider information directly from cruise ship staff. Until we meet again for our next cruise adventure, I'm wishing you smooth seas, spectacular sunsets, and wonderful cruising experiences free from any boarding complications.